The last thing that should cross your mind when enjoying the Harpeth River is sewage. But for the better part of 3 years, the Harpeth has been getting daily doses of partially treated, sometimes raw wastewater from the town of Kingston Springs. It's coming out of this pipe and others like it. By law, as long as the outflow is properly cleaned, there's nothing wrong with that. Wastewater always needs a place to go. But what's happening here is so consistent and so serious, the town is about to be sued.
There's a penalty under the Clean Water Act per violation that's pretty steep, and Kingston Springs has over 1,000 days of violations.
The Harpeth River is wrapping around us, going right to left in a bend, and we're going to the wastewater treatment plant or sewage treatment plant. They have a lagoon or two. I think one's out of service. They're always near a place to discharge, so mostly on rivers, lakes. The bigger body of water, the better. You have very few towns where there's not a big receiving stream, and the ones that aren't near one have trouble with where to put their waste. And then they discharge into the river right where we're going.
The town's own data, submitted to the state, shows some periods where E. coli bacteria in the runoff was more than 2,000% higher than permitted. And 1 week, what's called biological oxygen demand, that can choke off aquatic life, was 1,100% higher than allowed. People think, oh, it's a big river. If this stuff is going out, it's getting diluted, no big deal. Why do we care?
It does get diluted, just like air pollution gets diluted, but you still can inhale contaminants even if you don't see them. So you could swim in the river that's contaminated, and yes, it's more dilute, but if you're near the pipe, it's less dilute, and you don't always know where their pipes are. It's really everything from humans all the way down to the smallest creatures. And at some point downstream, somebody's probably drinking that water.
For 35 years, this community has relied on a somewhat outdated form of sewage treatment, lagoons. From the air, they look like cake pans, and the biggest one, holding 10 million gallons, has had problems with its liner. Last October, it was drained and bypassed altogether.
So we looked at it in 2021, and we sent a similar notice December of that year, put together a list that looks just like this. And then the correspondence between the state and the town were all about violation notice, we're fixing it, and then another violation notice. And it would be a flow meter or a chlorinator or some piece of equipment. And the story kept repeating. So this next time that we looked at it, we decided to go ahead and follow the case. Where that is from the west side looking.
Barry Sulkin is the environmental scientist for Tennessee Riverkeeper, a citizen conservation group that holds polluters' feet to the fire.
Usually they get a notice of violation and they file with TDEC a plan for fixing the problem, and they work on getting the problem fixed. Now this one just doesn't seem to be working on getting the problem fixed.
The town declined the banner's request for an interview because the case is headed to court. But in a public PowerPoint to customers, it acknowledged breaks and leaks in the aging underground pipes. Officials say the system has been mapped and scoped with cameras. Some new pumps and monitoring systems have also gone online. We met a resident who's got one in his own backyard.
Anytime we had rain, it did smell like sewer. All the runoff comes down this road and it runs, you can see the ditch line. That was all redone when they did the new pump station. It was just finished, I'd say, within a month.
The state also declined our request for an interview, but it's been seeing the very same data as the Riverkeeper group consistently from Kingston Springs. And apart from violation notices, there's been no real penalty. Why do they get so much time to violate until someone blows the whistle?
That's a great question. Tennessee Riverkeeper, unfortunately, is finding a lot of municipalities that are not able to treat their sewage properly, or they're quite frankly just refusing to comply with the Clean Water Act in terms of treating their sewage waste. That problem is generally looked at as out of sight, out of mind, It's under the roads. No one wants to think about sewage. You can't see it. The average voter is much more likely to complain about a pothole and want that fixed than their sewage being fixed.